Hi everyone, I'm Mike Gualtieri, Forrester Principal Analyst and your host of Forrester Technopolitics. On this episode, we're going to talk about the data scientist. What is a data scientist? Why does this appear to be such a hot job? What are the skill sets a data scientist need? Now there's two reasons why organizations are asking this question, and they're asking it a lot. The first one is big data. So we know that big data is a big trend. Organizations want to get all their data. They have a lot of data. They're not doing as much as they could be doing with it. The data scientist's job is to find that meaning. So if you want to do big data, you have to have a data scientist. The second reason they're asking this question is they want to know what the skills are of a data scientist because they're finding it hard to hire them. So do you need to hire a PhD in mathematics or statistics? Or perhaps you can grow a data scientist within your existing organization. Maybe there's some nascent skill sets. So that's what we're going to explore in this episode. Let's start with what is a data scientist. Well, fundamentally, a data scientist is someone who finds new discoveries. That's what a scientist does. They make a hypothesis and they try to investigate that hypothesis. In the case of a data scientist, they do it with data. They look for meaning, knowledge in the data, and they do that in a couple of different ways. One is they visualize the data. They look at the data, they create reports, and they look for patterns in the data. That's very similar to what you might think of as a traditional business intelligence analyst or a data analyst. So that's one of the tools that data scientists use. But what really distinguishes a data scientist is their use of algorithms. Advanced algorithms that actually run through the data looking for all this meaning. And you may have heard things like machine learning algorithms, or you may have heard algorithms such as neural networks or regression algorithms or k-means. There's dozens of these algorithms out there, and essentially they run through the data looking for the meaning. That is one of the fundamental tools of a data scientist. So to use those algorithms, the data scientist has to have a strong foundational knowledge of mathematics, of statistics, and in some cases computer science and domain knowledge. So a data scientist given an enormous data set, or maybe not such a big data set, and a question. So the question might be, like a typical business question might be, what customers are likely to churn? That is, what customers are likely to go to a competitor? That may be a very good question for a data scientist to answer. And the data scientist would go about that by gathering all the data, running algorithms until they can find some reliable pattern to answer that question. Another question a data scientist might answer, a recommendation engine. They may try to answer the question, how can I improve the recommendations in a movie recommendation engine? In fact, that's exactly what Netflix did. Netflix had ran a contest where they would pay $1 million to anyone who could improve their recommendation engine by just 10%. 5 data scientists actually came up with algorithms, an ensemble of algorithms to do that. So data scientists are answering questions and they're using data to answer those questions. They're using a combination of data and the algorithms. When you have large data sets, you rely on many more algorithms. And so the fundamental knowledge of a data scientist is to try to understand those algorithms. Now, when you think of who is a data scientist, there's a lot of myths out there, okay? Let me tell you what a data scientist is not. A data scientist is not a programmer, and not a Java programmer who knows Hadoop, okay? Many people are billing themselves as data scientists because they have certain technical skills. That's not a data scientist. That's someone who maybe knows how to run Hadoop, knows how to integrate data, knows how to run it, unless they also understand some of these discovery techniques and these algorithms. In my mind, they don't qualify as a data scientist. Now look, having said that, many software developers actually have taken classes in artificial intelligence or machine learning and may understand some of the techniques of this. The other thing a data scientist is not, is it's not a business intelligence analyst. A business intelligence analyst may create reports and dashboards, but they're doing that based upon what they think is important in the data. A data scientist might hypothesize what they think is important, but they're going to use these algorithms to kind of confirm those hypotheses. So there's kind of a gap here between a business intelligence person and a programmer. The programmer might have the technical skills. A business intelligence person may have a lot of business domain knowledge. The data scientist, however, needs both of those skills. They need some technical skill, they need some domain knowledge, but they need this fundamental knowledge of algorithms, statistics, mathematics, the scientific method. So that's why it's a little difficult to find data scientists right now, because it's a very unique skill set. Now, having said that, there are ways that you can do data science without getting a master's, without hiring. That is by using tools. All right, there's some more sophisticated tools that are doing some of the heavy lifting that a data scientist normally would have to do. You can use these software tools, and more are getting developed every day because of the market demand. So this is going to kind of give the business person the ability to do some type of data science work. Will you be able to do it all? No. I mean, a large organization is going to need a hardcore data scientist, but that hardcore data scientist is not going to be able to handle all of the work that's available. Some of that work can be farmed out to some business analysts. Now, the other thing you have to think about the data scientist is, what is the fundamental life cycle, the discovery life cycle of data science? There's a couple of stages. The first stage is understanding the data and prepping the data. That is, getting all the data you need before you run the algorithms on it to see if you can find some of the models. Now, survey after survey of data scientists has showed that between 70 and 80% of a data scientist's time is spent on assembling that data. That is not a highly efficient way to use those unique skills of a data science, because often that assembly of data, like making a SQL statement or doing some text mining, getting that data set together is a job that can be done by a data integration specialist or a technical specialist. So one of the things that you want to do when hiring a data scientist in your organization is to assign other roles which can help leverage that the data scientist skill set. So you want people who understand the data in your organization and who understand the techniques for integrating it, whether it's ETL, whether it's Hadoop, getting that data set together so the data scientist can spend most time on what's most valuable, which is focusing on the discovery process, focusing on running the algorithms and finding predictive models or new knowledge within that data set. So hire a data scientist who has those skills, but make sure that you have internal people who understand the data set. If you hire a data scientist raw, look, your company has lots and lots of data set. Just in a data warehouse or a database, you may have hundreds of databases or hundreds of database tables with different field names. For that data scientist to be productive on his or her own would take months just to understand all those data sources. So that's why if you hire a data scientist from the outside, team them up with someone internally who knows your data sources and who can put all of those data sources together. I hope this explains sort of what you need to look for in a data scientist and how best to leverage those data scientist skills. I'm Mike Gualtieri. This is Forrester Technopolitics.